Well, we're doing another Sunday evening live stream here. Today, I got Mr. Tom Garvey joining me. Hopefully, I set that up properly. And not sure if I got to hit something here. Whoop. Okay. Just kind of get set up here. Big ones. Spontaneous ones. So we just had a storm come through and just kind of blew over. The winds really picked up and I thought, ooh, this isn't a good time, but everything seemed to work out. Kind of went by us. Well, in the meantime, I got beer to enjoy here from Top Dog Brewing Company, local to me. You can just see the humidity out here by how much sweat's on this can. There's a site there. Just gonna get set up here. Yeah, Mr. Wayne from Tavern 53 in the chat. Hello there, Wayne. I'm hoping I set this up properly for Mr. Tom Garvey to join me. It was a very nice pour. Yeah, this is their premium lager. Nice beer with some fizzies in it there. Sade Jeep Jenna. Hello. Hello there. Cheers. So I always have trouble getting things set up here, so hopefully I did everything correctly. How am I? I am doing great. The weather is just beautiful right now. It's a little warm, but I could take it. We just came back from a trip from up north where it was maybe 10 degrees cooler than here, and the nights were even cooler. It was about 60 degrees at night and about 80 during the day. It was just perfect. I'm in Texas right now. I'm from India. Oh, cool. There it is. There he is.
Greg, how you doing?
Mr. Tom Garvey.
I've had nothing but trouble today with YouTube.
Well, you know what? It's always me that has the trouble.
Well, I mean,
maybe I was doing something.
No, I mean, I tried to upload a video earlier for upcoming Wednesday, right, and it wouldn't let me do it. It said YouTube's having issues, whatever the hell that means. So, and then a couple other people I know to go live right now. I can't get on my computer is what it is.
Huh.
So I got to do my phone, and I'm just hoping I have enough juice to keep it going. So I'm good with it, though. Let me just get set up here, Greg, a little bit.
Yeah, no problem. Yep.
see if I can get my charger going. And let me see if I can put my phone. Okay, that's not good.
You'll have to get that handyman from your previous video over.
I'm hoping. Just to keep it up.
Yeah, just hold it.
Yeah, that's pretty good right there, I think. And show my fat side. How you been?
Oh, I'm doing great. We just came back from a small vacation there from up north. And
What?
back to the heat. But it's not heat like what you're getting, I'm sure.
Wait today.
It's like
I seen you
90
cook.
here.
I seen you with your little nephew. That was cool as hell.
Yeah, that was great. Great experience for both of us, really.
Yeah, I really enjoyed watching it. I encourage my grandsons. I make sure that they all cook and learn how to cook and stuff like that. And in fact, it was my youngest grandson who got me involved in YouTube.
Oh, really?
So yeah, he said, "Pop, you should be making videos." I said, "Oh, here we go." Give me one more second. Let me see if I can arrange this a little bit better.
So the
I was just
tavern's
watching. Let's see what we got here. I can always overcome and adapt. That ain't gonna work.
It's usually me who has these mishaps, you know.
You know what? I knew there was a problem because I was trying, like I said, trying to promote it, and it kept coming up that YouTube is having issues.
Oh,
I said,
okay.
never seen this before. But Lance and them guys were trying to get situated today with their live, and people couldn't connect. So I think there might be a little bit of a problem.
Oh, okay.
So,
YouTube's then.
let's see me get over here.
Well, now we got.
You can hear me all right? Am I too loud or?
Yep. No, I hear you perfect.
Okay, perfect.
I hear you. I see you. Well, welcome to my grill area back here.
It's beautiful. It really is. I keep showing every once in a while on my podcast. I keep showing my setup that I had in Florida. Okay.
I seen that. Yeah.
I made one out of a golf cart too. I mean, that's my life. Cooking is my life, basically. You know what I mean?
Family and cooking, it all just comes together, you know?
Yeah, I did it for 30 years in a restaurant. Me and my family had a restaurant. And then once we sold it, I went to work for a couple of different places, and it's natural. You know what I mean? It comes natural. Yeah. So
I love
watching
your content that you put out. I just really enjoy that. You've got your appetizer series going on right now with the Sunday dinner chef.
Yeah. And what attracted me with you is that I like the way you present your grills. I like the way you present your food. You know what I mean? And I think what we need to do is start doing a little bit more collaborations.
Yeah. I like
that. To me sells everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
I know we've chatted on each other's videos, but this here just gives us an opportunity to, kind of brainstorm and look at some other opportunities,
Yeah, I mean, like today when I seen you with your nephew, I said, "Boy, that is fantastic right there," and that's basically what it's all about, you know.
Well, even watching him, I remember you said something about your grandson. Well, why didn't you include this step? That thing that you just take for granted. But watching this guy, be with my nephew and watching his, well, what do we do here? What do we do? And it's stuff we talk about, but we're just talking through it. Maybe somebody watching, needs that stuff.
My grandson hit me. It was like getting hit with a hammer when he said that to me. Pop, there's people out there that don't know how to cook. And I said, wow. And I didn't think of it that way. I would just, the keto side of it was because I started doing that and to save myself. I mean, I had some health issues, and starting to switch things up a little bit and cooking. And I just, like you said before, take it for granted that, hey, I know, everybody should know how to do this, but there's people who don't. And that's why I said with your stuff, Okay. It's relaxing. It's relaxing to watch. Okay. You explain everything perfectly. All right. And you got some great equipment. I mean, you know, and the other thing, Greg, I got to talk to you about really is
Okay.
you put that, I think it was a brisket, you put it on the grill, and then you went and did your chores around the house.
Yeah.
You cut the grass and stuff like
It,
that.
it's just real, you know?
That's priceless. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what everybody does. But in the same token, though, you come back and voila, you got some great food, really do.
Right.
So
You got one thing working for you that's not taking you a lot of time. You know, it's just that little bit of prep work in the beginning.
yeah,
And yeah. And
some people get the wrong idea that I'm lazy bum sitting out in the back, in a chair having a beer and cooking. It's there's more to it than that. It's
well,
just
the
really
reality is, yeah, when like your cooks as well, in the background, there's all the dishes and scrubbing the pans, the chopping board, there's all that prep work is work,
yeah. That's life. That's how it goes. That's how it goes about. So
Yeah.
how did you get started in doing it? You s-
Just
it's
started it. Well, I had a one propane grill years ago, and I could never seem to get a good cook going, you know. Then I had a propane and a charcoal. Then I started using just the charcoal. And then I just started buying grills. Well, let's try a Kamado. Well, pellet grills seem to be popular. Let's try a cook on a pellet grill. I mean, the first time I tried a pellet grill, I didn't know what to expect. Am I going to get smoky food or, it was a big learning curve for me. And I thought I would through YouTube, take everybody with me for the journey. And, you know, there we go.
yeah. And it's funny because you think everybody worries about the algorithm. Everybody worries about how many clicks they got, how many views they got. That has nothing to do with it.
No,
Nothing at all.
I don't try to be a personality. I don't try to be a professional.
Yeah,
And if I make a mistake, at least you know how long I had it on, at what temperature. Don't do that. Or
yeah.
maybe
That's
it's a
that.
guideline for you to do something different.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, in the same, like there again, I came from the restaurant side of it. Okay. But as you see in a couple of videos, I had grills all over the place. You know what I mean? Tomorrow I have, no, it's not tomorrow. It's the next week. I have, when I lived in North Carolina, because I semi-retired from New Jersey, got away from the life, moved to North Carolina, and I get blasted with bladder cancer. So trying to come around from that, uh, but I had my priorities, what I was supposed to do, and when you get told, you get some kind of ailment or a cancer or something like that, right away everybody thinks it's the end of the world. Far
Right.
from it. Okay, tell you now all of a sudden now you got to step out of the circle and say, I got to take care of business. All right. And that's how I started keto because they turned around from some treatments. They turned around and said, now you're type 2 diabetic. I said, you want to pile on anymore? I mean, come on.
Yep.
But that's when I determined to start grabbing a hold of what I was doing and the whole bit like that. But there again, my grandson hit me between the eyes with, you got to teach people what's going on. Some people don't even know how to cut. Some people, and I'm not shaming anybody, and not
Yeah. No.
meant to
Yeah.
be that way. You know what I mean? But it never dawned on me.
It's
I'm
showing
taking
those
for
steps. Yeah.
yeah, I'm taking for granted that everybody knows what's going on with it. So it's a learning curve for me too. I'm right now. There's a gentleman over in the UK as a chef. I think he's still working. I don't know, but we and him sort of click back and forth again. Okay, and he's doing stuff that I would never think about doing. You know what I mean? And then he hits me between the eyes and say, "Hey, I like the way you did that." And so yeah, it's a learning curve for everybody, and that's why I like about watching other channels. Okay, uh, watching how you do stuff, watching other people who are just starting out. How the camera goes, and it's, after a while you learn how to take care of the camera nice and easy. you
Right.
know,
It took me a while just to talk to a camera, like nobody else is there, and you're trying to show them what you're doing, and you're looking around like, well, I guess I'm talking to you.
yeah, and my wife says to me, when I'll shut the camera off, she said, "You're rambling." Okay.
Well, here's
So
the time to ramble right now.
yeah, in the beginning, I was, I just put the camera up. I had a brand new camera that I bought for this, doing this. My grandson, he was in the beginning, he was taking the movies, and then they moved a little further away, so I was on my own. So I had a brand new camera, Greg, and I had it set up on a tripod, and I tried to bend it down a little bit in the camera. I didn't have it screwed in enough, or what? Bloop, right in the soup.
Oh, damn, man.
I said, okay, here we go. It's only YouTube. Go out and get another camera.
Strong learning curve right there.
Yeah, big learning curve. Yeah,
Look at the
unbelievable.
chat here a little bit. We got Gregory Russell. Many of us remember the pre-internet days. Collaborative live video was just a dream back then. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, sure does.
This is quite the thing. I mean, you're in Las Vegas. I'm up in Canada. Here we are. It's kind of a neat thing.
It's amazing. It really is.
Tavern 53. Always good to talk around and about food. Oh yeah, I got that. Teaching the next generation. Yeah, with my nephew there. That was good time. Gregory Russell. Clean while you cook is a big time saver. Oh yeah, yeah. Time management. Well, you must know that from the business, like.
Oh yeah, yeah. And some channels that I watch and stuff like that, I get a little not disturbed, but I'm saying watch what you're doing. Step out of the circle and look what you're doing. Clean up after yourself. You know what I mean? There's some people that don't do that, and that would turn a lot of people off as far as not clean the cutting board or stuff like that. And especially if you're going to have people over or anything like that, you really got to be worrying about cleanliness, washing and stuff like that. And, that's a big to do. But there again, that came from the business. That would have shut you down.
One thing I picked up from you watching you is when I oil that pan, I put that spice in before I put whatever I got. And I think of you every time, little Tommy spice.
Yep. Seasoning the pan, what it does more than it's actually seasoning the oil and the butter also. Then everything gets a good cover on it. So when you salt and pepper meat or something like that, put it in, sometimes it just comes off or shakes off, or you don't get the right amount for the seasoning. So if you season that oil and that butter in there, everything's going to get coated. Everything's going to get that flavor in it. So that's reason why. That's an old habit from many years ago.
Sauce you made this morning, you kept talking about the aromatics, or your video I saw this morning with the star anise and for those ribs, the honey ribs.
Yep.
Had cinnamon and garlic, and I could just almost smell it the way you're moving it around, and cocoa powder. Things like that. I wouldn't even think to put together,
The bottom line with that now there again. Now I picked that up from another lady from overseas. Okay.
Yeah.
An Oriental woman, and the way she did, they do that asthma. What is it? ASMR or whatever it is. They don't talk, but they're putting it in there. And as I'm watching her do that, I'm saying she didn't put the cocoa powder in. In my recipe, I did, but watching her do that, I'm saying, boy, I can smell that on the TV. I can actually smell it, And pork picks that stuff up. Chicken does a little bit, but pork picks it up a little bit more than beef or anything else like that. That kind of flavoring. So that was perfect for that, with the ribs. And plus, it was 110 degrees outside.
Yeah,
I couldn't fire up the smoker. When it gets so hot here, I have an electric smoker. That's what I'm allowed to have. When it gets that hot out here, it'll trip the breaker.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so if I'm cooking something at 200, 225 degrees, and it's 110, 120 degrees outside, no bueno,
But that there's many people, probably in a lot of the southern states over there, that are in the same boat as you. So they see what you're doing, and I'm sure it's an inspiration to a lot of people up, around. I don't quit cooking because it's hot outside, but let's get the frying pan out. Let's do this.
Yeah. We got to eat, and that's the whole idea. On the keto channel, okay, I get a lot of I don't know how to say this, but I get a lot of pushback sometimes from people who, I don't know if they're jealous or whatever. All right, but starting doing keto, I lost 72 pounds. Okay, I got my diabetes under control. until I cheat. Okay, when I go back, have a little bit of sugar, have a little bit of bread or something, and it gets that to me, Greg. It gets that. Oh, poor me. Why can't I have a piece of bread? Well, your knucklehead's gonna spike your sugar. You're gonna
Yeah.
feel like crap. So I get a lot of pushback from people, doing that kind of stuff. When I say that, oh, your other channel, you cook macaroni, you cook make pasta, you make potatoes and stuff like that. I don't eat it. My wife does. There's nothing wrong with her. So I make small portions, and it works out that way. But I sort of got into that. I sort of get into that little bit of a valley with taking stuff personal.
Oh yeah. There, you
Okay.
can certainly get the criticism on here.
Yeah. And then
myself,
one day I just turned around. I'm sorry. One day I just turned around and said, baloney. I tell people, thank you for the view and move away.
That's all you can do, Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, yeah, they're watching the content,
Yeah.
whether they agree or upset by something or whatever,
Yeah.
You can't please everybody.
No,
but
not at all.
I myself, probably what brought me to your keto channel is trying to cook cleaner, and do things with less carbs. And because myself, I was headed down a bad road, and I needed to lose some weight and things to keep me out of the diabetic, keep my blood sugar.
It's amazing how people and I didn't realize I was the culprit back in the day. You know what I mean? Of course, I'd send a plate out and have a ton of carbs on it, a little bit of protein, and then dessert afterwards, and said, "Jesus, what am I doing?" When I got older, and then I said, "Holy crap!" When I started becoming in trouble,
Well, I used to eat whatever I wanted back in the day, but like I say, as you get older, things change. And the keto thing might be completely necessary for some people, but can help other people.
Yeah.
So
and that's why I was glad to see that I was embraced by a lot of barbecue channels. Okay. I mean, you got some sugar and most of the rubs and some of the sauces and stuff, there's sugar in there. Okay. But people don't eat barbecue every day.
No.
Most people don't eat barbecue every day, especially for long cooks and stuff like that. But these guys turned around, you included, all right, said, "Hey, how you doing?" And started watching my stuff. Never really got any big pushback from anybody in the barbecue world. I just had to be careful. Uncle Steve, Uncle Steve with his shakes from Texas. Okay, he sent me out a sample pack with no sugar in it. 4 or 5 bottles that contain no sugar or less carbs. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, how well that worked.
Yep. Well, we got the trumpet master in the chat here.
That's my buddy Lewis.
Greg, Tom, saying hi to Tavern 53. And of course, my wife's on there, Liz. I like your wife.
Hello, Liz.
You're my favorite streamer. Please don't bald. Go bald. Okay. Tavern 53, sour bread, no yeast, very good for the gut. I don't know if you know about that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Gregory Russell, does Las Vegas have any discount barbecue traditions? Also, I just learned about North Carolina Bojangles fried chicken. Is it good for fast food?
Bojangles has been around. Bojangles has been around for a long time. I lived in North Carolina for 12 years. There again, it's fast food. The different oils and stuff that they use, you got to be real careful with. If they're peanut oils or if they're high seed oils or something like that has a high flash point, you got to be careful with. Some of the breading on it, it's not good. I'm going to tell you something. I like Bojangles better than I do KFC. Just flat out, but I haven't had that in 100 years.
Personally, I can't even eat KFC.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very little. Yeah, very little.
Yeah, I think when you start eating cleaner, when you do go back and it affects you,
Greg, I also played drums. I've played drums for all my life and different bands and stuff like that. So when I was out here, I looked at my wife because when we moved from Florida, sold the house in Florida, I sold everything. The people bought everything. They bought all my grills, everything, my golf cart, just about everything I had, tools, the whole bit. So when we come out here, we moved out here in a small car with just what we could put in there, clothes and stuff like that. So I had a set of drums and I sold them. All right. Before we came. So we come out here in January of 2020. We stayed with my daughter until we found this place here. And next thing I know, I start getting the itch. I want to play again. Okay, I'm retired now, blah, blah, blah. So I bought a set of electric drums and I started playing out again. Now, here's the problem. It wasn't so much of me playing, all right? It was what I was eating because we would get done at night, 11 o'clock at night. We'd go into the restaurant and all these guys were having burgers and fries. I don't give a damn what anybody says. A good cheeseburger with bacon on it's nothing bad with it. You know what I mean? You know, a big thing of French fries. So I looked at my wife. I said, I'm going to have a burger. It's not bad. Okay. So the next week we played again, did the same thing. But then during the week, I started eating more carbs. I'll start again tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'll be all right until tomorrow. Okay. Well, one night I went to get up on stage and my knee gave out. Okay. And the only reason why I gave out was because I was back in pain, joint pain again from eating high carbs and sugars and stuff like that again. So this is like 3 times that I went off the wagon to get back on again. So it takes an Irishman a long time to get cracked in the head with something, okay, to understand I cannot have that no more. I just can't do it, you know. So the one person also asked about barbecue out here. There are some barbecue places. Matter of fact, there's a couple really good ones. One name I don't have on the top of my head, but one not too far from me. There's a chain out here called Lucille's. They do all their smoking and stuff on premises. It's okay, but very, very, very pricey. There's another place that just opened up. It's called Texas Bees. All right. And what turned me on about that was turkey. They did smoked turkey, which I haven't had since I lived in Texas. All right. This thing was so juicy. That's the only thing my wife Marie eats when we go there is the turkey. That's how good it is. But one other thing they did, and it really, really hit me with, was they did smoked tri-tip. A nice tri-tip. Now, not a lot of fat in that, just like brisket. I mean, you have the cap on the brisket, stuff like that. This had nothing on it. And that's a trick. That's a one-trick pony to get it right, or it's no good. Right. So that's the one place we keep going back to. There's a couple places in North Las Vegas that we're going to go to, and we're going to do a couple reviews on it stuff. There again, coming from the business, I don't bash nobody. Okay, you might have a bad day or whatever, but to understand the value of running a restaurant, okay, and trying to put out the best you can, that's either going to make you or break you. So that's why we just go there just for the food. And
I remember you talked about a steakhouse. I don't know if it was in Las Vegas, but they put lemon on the steak.
Oh yeah,
it kind of intrigued me. I'm like, oh, you know.
That was in Texas. That was a place called. It wasn't the chain. It was Lone Star Cafe, is what it was called. They had 2 of them. They had one out in Houston. They had one closer to downtown, and one out by the airport. And it was actually a porterhouse. They had lined up. They had a glass there, but you could sit there. They had a room enough there, you know, to sit. Ice cold beer, all right. And then they did these porterhouse steaks in a big cast iron on these burners, and they're all lined up. They must have had 15, 20 these big cast irons. And I watched that guy drop a lump of butter in there, okay, squeeze the lemon in it, and I mean, it was smoking hot, and dropped this porterhouse in there. I said, lemon? What are you doing, lemon? But there again, let it play out. I tell you what, my bottom lip was smacking my nose like you wouldn't believe.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was really good. Really, really good.
Trumpet master. I really enjoy watching Tom's fresh pasta videos. Yeah, fantastic cooks on his channel. I agree. You know, most of the time I watch your channel, it's early in the morning. I'm having my coffee. Oh, look whose video come up on the feed, eh? Now I'm watching your food. You're cooking. You know, I get so hungry in the morning, and I didn't even know I was hungry till I watched that.
I did. I guess it was I think it was a year ago, 4th of July. So I was in a collaboration. I was in a collaboration, and I did. There was a place in New Jersey where we lived. It was called Rutt's Hut, and what they did was they did what they called rippers, these hot dogs, and they would deep fry them. They had this. It looked like, hard to explain. It looked like it had like a flat top that had oil on it, but it had the rim all the way around it. All right,
Okay.
and they would do potatoes on one side, and then these hot dogs. So there hence came the Italian hot dog. Okay, with the the big roll, the big round, half a round bread, and they'd stuff the peppers and onions in there. A couple hot dogs, the rippers. You'd see the natural casing ripped open. So I said, I'm going to do a take on that. So doing it, okay, I did them I had an indoor grill, and I was kind of like ashamed of myself because I had this stupid little electric grill in the house, and I'm cooking these, and these hot dogs that I bought, they were kind of expensive. Boar's Head, all natural casings.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, and as I got the camera going, said, and this thing ripped open and hit me with the hot dog grease. So when I'm putting it together on the plate, put the hot dog in, the whole bit, and I moved away from the camera and I picked it up like I was going to take a bite of it. Okay, but what I did was I put it behind me like this. My wife took the bite because I don't eat bread.
Oh, right. Okay.
And I put it back. Oh, that was good. So there's a little yin and yang between the two channels,
Right. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. For the people that don't know your channels, of course, you got Tom Garvey, the Keto Cook. You got the Sunday Dinner Chef.
Yeah.
And you got 2 other channels.
Yeah, I got one with my wife. We do seniors, food, and life. Okay, that started out where we would go out for dinner or stuff like that, and just being old guys in Vegas. You know what I mean? That's basically what it was. And then that gives my wife a chance to cook because she is a terrific cook. I mean, my wife's Italian, I'm Irish, but she can put out. She makes her own homemade pastas and stuff like that. She makes her own cannelloni and stuff like that. Different than I do on my pasta. And then the other channel was actually my music channel. And then what I mean by music channel, I would have, rather than going through AOL or anything like that or Facebook, I did it through YouTube because I can pick and choose different music. So different band members would send me the music that they wanted to do. All right. And then what I would do is I would upload, I have a program and I would upload it onto the program and I would send it back to them, different arrangements and everything. That's how my music is right now. I'm using that same program and I'm writing all the lyrics for it and arranging different, whether it's big band or blues or stuff like that.
Oh, that's the music you use in your videos then?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. I'm wondering, I just love it how you're cooking. I don't know, chopping broccoli, and there's a song about chopping broccoli.
Yeah, exactly.
I got a kick out of that. And in the style, like you're saying, the big band style or blues.
Yeah. And then the other channel, that's the same channel that I had to change because I stopped playing. I'm not playing anymore. I got to the point where I know I'm older. I'm going to be 71 in October. So I got to start pulling back on things. But then I come up with this. I want to do a cookbook. So I came up with a concept where the other channel is called Fire, Cook, Eat, Repeat. And what I do is I put a recipe together, and I want you, the people, to name it. I do that.
I just started following that one.
I do it once a month, okay, and then it's slowly taking off. I don't want to jump in too much with it, but and that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to have like 12 issues to it. I'm going to do a electronic cookbook, and I'm going to have Greg name this just so and so, and your name, your channel will go into this book. You know
That
what I
is
mean?
pretty cool. Yeah.
But I'm gonna keep it going, continue it.
Right.
And the end of it, or getting to the year end, it might go over a little bit more. Then I want to start doing some collaborations with with that whole thing. So,
Right. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I find there's a good community with our YouTube people, YouTube channels, and I know yourself. We talk about this with Tavern 53 and Trumpet Master. Trumpet Master has a great community there.
He does.
Yeah, it's nice that we can all support each other like this,
Yeah. Me and Lewis hit it off right from the beginning because I like Lewis's style, I like what he does, how he cooks. And I got to tell you something. Some of the stuff that he does is like really, there again, there's another guy's neat and clean like yourself. You know what I mean? That puts it out, cares about his videos and stuff. So, yeah.
I like it, and everyone's got a different style. Like Louis, he puts those videos going. He puts himself in the square, and he's explaining everything he's doing. He's got the music going. He's got, kind of neat.
In the beginning, I actually stole that from him because I'm an audio guy. I like to have a different audio feel. You know what I mean? And watching Trumpet Master voice over what he's doing, I'm like, there it is. Because the cameras that I was using a poor man's GoPro. Okay, and I had a couple of them going, but the audio quality was just garbage. It was horrible. So, yeah, I turned around and Lewis, I stole from you. But he's a good guy.
Eat less, that's it. In the U.S., people eat too much. Food abuse. Pin this channel name. I will talk to him. Crunch. Okay, Gregory Russell, is there a barbecue joint either of you have been to that is a must go if I were ever in the area? And Trumpet Master saying, yeah, that was a great idea. I laugh out loud. I believe he's talking about
Yeah. And you know what, Lois? A couple people did steal it from me. That's for sure.
I know I do a few voiceovers here and there.
Yeah. Getting back to the guy who said that we eat too much here in this country. Right. You're 100%. You're 100% right. 100% right. Okay. But here's the reason why I do keto, because you know what? In the long run, we eat less. And that's the whole idea. Get yourself full, get yourself satiated to the point where I'm done. So right now I eat some days 1 time a day, some other times 2 times a day. And that's how it's rolling. Yeah, but he's 100% right. We do eat too much junk.
I know myself trying to eat cleaner. I couldn't buy food anywhere at a restaurant that would, help with low sodium or low carbs.
Yeah.
So cooking at home, again, you bring a lot of that. You could eat a lot cleaner. I'll smoke a turkey breast and I'll cut it up for cold cuts. I'll pack it, freeze it. I mean, all it is turkey. There's no sodiums or preservatives or, you talked about the tri-tip, same thing. You do that, slice it up thin. There you go,
Yeah.
Learning to cook will save you not only money, but it'll save you health-wise as well,
Yeah. I've had a lot of people that I had one lady, she couple times a week she would contact me and say, can you help me? I'm overweight, blah, blah, blah. I said, yeah, I'll set you up with a menu for the week. Okay. And you try this. It's going to take 2 weeks. You're going to wind up in ketosis. But before you get there, you're going to wind up with the keto flu. You're going to feel like crap. I'm telling you that right now. All right. But you maybe 7 days, you might have to go through this. That's when people quit. I don't want to deal with this.
Right.
The second thing she said to me was, I see this stuff called fat bombs. Lady, what are you doing? Okay. That's peanut butter. Okay. And then they freeze it and they put it into a thing of chocolate, dark chocolate. And no, what are you doing? You don't want to do that. Later on down the road, yeah, you can. But I mean, Jesus, crying out loud. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Things in moderation.
That never happened too much. You mean the dude? Yeah, if that's who you're talking about, I don't know. But out here, my recommendation for people to go to if you get out here, it's on south part of Las Vegas Boulevard, and it's called Bootleggers. That's my go-to place. Okay, a lot of great food. It's old Vegas. You're going back to like the Rat Pack with Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and stuff like that. It's got that vibe. Matter of fact, they've been here since 1949. So it's great food. Great food. It's consistent all the time. That would be a place I would tell you to go to on there.
And I believe Greg Rocheleau, he's from my area, so he probably knows of the same barbecue places I do. But, yeah, Trumpet Master said it's all good, brother. And he said I could wake up in the middle of the night and go get a burger. Food is available 24/7.
Yep.
And he says, Tom, whatever happened to Mike? I have not seen his content from him in a long time.
If you're talking about Mike the Dude barbecue grilling, and so he had changed his name a couple times.
The guy Mike used to go live with, he says. Yeah.
That's Mike. Yeah, that's the dude. He got demonetized. I mean, he was the nicest guy in the world. You know what I mean? He actually pushed me to the point where, where I'm rolling at today, because don't give up, this and that, the whole bit. But he started a different project. I sent him to Newsbreak, and he took off on Newsbreak. It's a paper, a national, like a newspaper that went online, and you could post your videos. Okay, I was making some decent money on there. Mike was doing even better. Well, when he's pushing most of his time to the Newsbreak, all right, wasn't putting anything up on YouTube. YouTube said, you know what, you're demonetized. So he lost all heart with it and stuff like that. I'm trying to get him back on again. Matter of fact, Lewis, I might be contacting you. Get a couple of the old school guys back, just for one live one night, and just to chew the fat a little bit. So we'll see if I can get Mike on there. But.
Yeah, I was on with Trumpet Master a couple of weeks ago on one of his lives. That was always fun hanging out with Louis.
Yeah. It's got great content. I mean, and that's what I was getting back to earlier, Greg, about we need to do a little bit more. This is how you keep everybody together. Okay.
Right.
It's not who's better than this guy or this guy's better than that.
Everybody's got it,
The platform is wide open, and everybody's got a different idea, a different outlook on it. And I think that's fantastic. That's at night. There's a guy, I don't know if you know Grumpus. Okay. Grumpus turned me on to this dude. I think he's out in California somewhere, but he had a brick oven, and everything this guy cooks is in that oven. But nice soft voice. Okay. He pours himself a glass of wine, builds the fire, and he made mushrooms and the stuff, and and porterhouse steak and all, but all different kinds of stuff. But low and calm. I'm laying in bed. I'm watching this guy, but it was so relaxing. That's my whole point. There's more out there. There's a lot more out there. Spread your wings a little bit.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of learning that. Take the camera, show the food a little bit more. Pan around, take a little bit. Because I was so getting into like a regiment. Like, okay, you film this part, film that part, film that. But yeah, you got to develop a style. Over time.
Yeah, and I got a new camera, so I got different ways I'm doing stuff right now, and you got to change because you become. That's why they would cancel TV shows, okay? Because it was repetitious, same garbage you watch every day. You can almost pinpoint what you're going to do next.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why I started the Sunday Dinner Chef, was because keto side was can't have potatoes, can't have this, can't have that. And I said to my wife, I could do this as long as I don't eat it, Right. So, making different time, the pasta, like Lewis said, the pasta and stuff like that. We would make pasta in the restaurant until we ran out. Okay. We would make up, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds of pasta well, Papa Deli, what we did was the wider stuff, and we used that until we ran out, and that was it. So that's sort of become the go-to, fresh pasta made in-house, and it was a special, and running out like that. So just showing people that you could do this kind of stuff at home.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a
I
lot of
did
people.
that. Go ahead.
Well, I'm just gonna say a lot of people think noodles come from the grocery store, right? But when you see someone like yourself mixing the flour and the eggs and wow, it's magic, And I
It's,
tried it myself from one of your videos, and it's like night and day.
yeah,
It's delicious.
100%.
And I
100%.
probably didn't make it as good. Like doing it one time is probably a lot different than 100.
But that's the art of it, Greg. That's it. Let me try it this way. Let me break it down that way. I guess I get obsessed with it because I did it all my life. So, I made pasta. My wife looked at me. She said, "What the hell did you put in there?" I said, "Experiment." She said, "Well, don't do that again." you know.
But I always try to one up. You cook something really good, it turns out excellent, and then you're going, how can I make it better? It's always in your head,
Yeah. Wait till next week. Okay. Wait till next week's appetizer. It's gonna blow your mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Looking forward to
I'm,
that.
I'm gonna give you a little hint. Okay. It has something to do with a Bloody Mary.
That sounds
So
interesting. Yeah.
yeah, this is gonna be crazy. But that's what I like with that channel right there, to show different things. Um, I started doing on keto, Sunday dinner and stuff like that. Growing up, that was the baby of the family. So that's the time the whole family got back together again. Okay.
Right.
And if you were late, my father was on the phone with you. Where are you?
Yeah.
That type of stuff. And the whole family would sit around the dining room table. My mom would make a ton of food, and that brought everybody together. And that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Once they all left, and that sort of got me into cooking. I started cooking when I was 12 years old. I had a hot dog wagon. Okay, every summer, I made quite a bit of money doing that, and I bought myself a new set of drums, as a kid. So the incentive there was like, whoa. As I got older, I went to work in a country club washing dishes. All right,
Yeah.
and next thing you know, they brought me up on the line, and I was the fry guy. I was the guy dropping the basket of fries. And I moved over to the broiler and started broiling meats and stuff, different steaks and stuff like that. And then I got away from it for a while, but the passion just kept pulling me back. My family, we had a nightclub, a bar. All right, it was rock and roll. We had quite a few big names there, and then we sold it. Okay, I went off, got married, and then my brother called me. He says, I'm getting the bar back. What do you want to do?" I said, let's do some fine dining and stuff like that. So we jumped into that. We had that for 2 years and sold it again. All right. I went to work down the Jersey Shore and cook in different restaurants. I get the phone call again. We're back. So we made it into a pub. We did lobster with seafood and steaks. I used to do 200 pounds of lobster every night, 7 nights a week.
Wow.
So prime rib, all the different, prime rib was our number one. And just the prices alone, Greg, just think about this for a minute. You get a whole stuffed lobster. They were chicks. So chicks goes from anywhere from a pound and a quarter to pound and three quarters. Okay. Then you go up into the 2-pounders, which were culls. That's when they start shedding their skin, their shell. So
Right.
sometimes you get a big shell and open it up and say, what the hell? A little bit of meat in there. Usually one claw, the other claw fell off. So we got into that, but that was $8.95 for a stuffed lobster. Okay. Prime rib, bone in. We did bone in, bone off, bone in. Okay. And we get just about 12 to 13 pieces out of it. All right. That way. And that was $12 for the prime rib.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it just filet mignons and stuff like that, and shrimp at the end. So it was very lucrative. I mean, we had held that for a long time. I had a 500-gallon fish tank, not a fish tank, but a lobster tank, and we'd keep the lobsters in there. So you would walk in, see the lobster, And a lot of people say, "Oh, I want that one right there." Okay, no clue. But yeah, that was the life. I mean, and it did that for a long time.
Yeah, that's neat. Okay, Greg Russell. I keep calling him Rocheleau. We want to see the process. We want to see the food, but we all also want to see the mistakes and the lessons learned. If I get
I
the
agree.
expensive cut of meat, I am going to watch videos until I feel confident. You know,
I totally agree.
yeah,
I
yeah, you
totally,
need a
totally
starting
agree.
point. You know, you want to do these cuts of meat, but you need somewhere to start.
Yeah.
You know, uh, I think learning the different cuts of meat is good. And I think you talked about this, how let's just say a cow, there's certain cuts of meat that you can't just throw on a grill and it's done. Like you need to render that down. It's a tough muscle, like a brisket or
Hmm.
you'll get other cuts like tenderloin, quick sear on that, you're good to go. You
Yeah.
know, so
Back in the day, okay, we we used to get ribeyes, okay, that I would cut. I would cut on a slicer. I would cut uh, with a leaner, more less fat up closer to the front of the animal, and then you start getting down to the backside. We start getting a little bit more. People call it marbling, but I think it's more fat grain in it. Okay, that's from less movement. Okay, so up a little bit closer as you get more movement, a little bit more lean. But back then, this is when the craze was that uh, fat was no good. Okay, and carbohydrates was it. Okay, that's around the same time when Olive Garden started. Okay, you get the free salad with the breadsticks, endless breadsticks. Okay, and pasta, and just keep on coming. That killed a lot of people, no matter how you add it up. It wasn't the meat. It was not the red meat. So we would cut them about a half inch, okay, until we got down into the fattier parts, and we would take that and then go down to a quarter an inch and slice that other one down. So we'd have what they call a large ribeye and a small ribeye. And the large ribeye was $6.99, okay, and then the small ribeye was $4.99. But here's how we got around um, medium rare, well done, all that stuff. I marinated them in Maggie sauce. You get that the Oriental stuff, Maggie, all
yeah,
right. And I would put two bottles. We had, the plastic containers that we would put them in, and we mix it up with the water, and that would sit 24 hours. So we always had one going, and that was a big seller for more kids and stuff like that. That way, because it came out one way, had a great taste, with the French fries and a little veggie, and that's how we would put that out. So, but back then, it was the cheapest thing there was. We also back then we used to get brisket, okay, and I used to make my own corned beef, and I had a system. Most people do it either 7 to 14 days. I did it 21 days.
wow,
Every day I had to turn it. Every day I had to turn all of them, and then we had what they call an alto sham. Alto sham was a slow cooker, indoor slow cooker, but it was a big cabinet, and I think it had like 14 racks that you could put in it, 14 trays with
right,
these briskets on it. Then I would make my own pastrami, all right, until the prices started changing, started fluctuating, because you could get brisket dirt cheap. You know what I
right,
mean? We would do it to where we would do it in the Alto-Sham, the way the old Jewish people used to do it. Okay, no, just salt and pepper on it. That was it. Okay, and cook it until it fell apart by itself.
yeah,
We would call it self-slicing. But then the prices started picking up, and then prime rib started getting a little bit more expensive, and then you could see the trend changing with it
right.
to the point where it just was ridiculous. Same thing with lobster. So that the price changes put a lot of people out of business.
Yeah,
Really
I don't
did.
know how restaurants do it today. I mean, the margin of profit must be so slim. But
We used to try to run on anywhere between 25 to 27% food cost, and
right,
that was pretty hard to maintain because especially with lobster and stuff like that, because you had perishable items. Okay,
Right.
And if they weren't treated right, you could lose 200 pounds of lobster in a heartbeat.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
all you would need is some wise ass come past, open the lid, drop something in there, and you're out of business. You know, so the margin was, and I tell you, that's why when I said earlier, I don't go to restaurants to bash it, because I know the price they pay.
Yeah.
You know, word of mouth is horrible.
Yeah.
Either it's good or it's not good. So,
Right.
what's the meat prices up by your way, Greg?
I watch what you're doing. Like for bone-in ribeye, like
Mm-hmm.
one slice off the thing, you probably pay around $50, which
Mm-hmm.
sounds like you pay around the same thing there. But $50 Canadian is like what, 35 American or something.
It's still
So
high.
yeah. And then like for a whole chicken, probably spend around $12 Canadian.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it reasonable compared to what I see online. We never had the up in prices with eggs. Well, eggs did go up in price, but not crazy like it did over there.
Yeah,
So,
it went completely nuts.
yeah.
I shop at this one place, Smart and Final, it's called, but it's a like a half-ass restaurant supply type of thing, but open to the public. So it's almost like a Costco, but on a smaller scale. Okay, they don't have clothes and everything like that. So, but I buy their whole. They have a section with all full cuts. Okay, you got to butcher down yourself. And 2 years ago, I guess it was, you start seeing the price change. I would turn around and buy a whole truck roll, the whole clod, right? 24, 25 pounds in that way. And I was getting them at $50, 55, 56, $57. Okay. Now that same cut, the same weight is like $175. So, whenever I get anything from YouTube or something like that, I'll go and purchase that there. Now, what I do with it, instead of cutting it full, I'm breaking it up into steaks. And you got the Denver cut in there, you got Swiss steak, you got a whole bunch of different name things that they're making, making their own names for it, and I've been doing that. So the butcher inside the place told me square business. He said, Tom, from now until who knows when, pork and chicken are the saviors. They're the ones that people are going to be able to afford.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
a
I
sense.
could get a whole pork belly for like $35.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
delicious, but you got to know how to cook it.
Yeah. I got an Oriental store here. Okay, it's Seafood City. It's called, and they have. I can get a whole pig in there if I want. You know what I mean? And they got some seafood. They got some stuff in there you would look at and say, "Whoa, I don't know. I don't know about that." But I can get like you said, the whole pork belly, really reasonable. I can get the hocks. I can get the shanks beef. All right. That's why I shop ethnic stores. All right. The produce is much cheaper, much better, I must say, also. And some different cuts of meat that I remember when I was a kid that my parents would get and make, Sunday stew out of it and stuff like that. Uh, Also, there's another place in here called La Bonita. It is from Mexico. All right. They got some fantastic prices there that, we go, if I want to go get different types of vegetables, or if I'm going to make a pepper sauce or something like that, I go there. They got every kind of pepper you can think of, and it's much cheaper. And like I was telling my wife, I says, this is the problem right here. We got corporate America that's selling stuff, stepping on, say, well, there's feed problems or whatever with the meat. These places over here, come on in. Here, we got the steaks and stuff for you right here. No problem.
Yeah.
So I don't know. The older I get, the crazier it seems to be getting. I'm like that old guy now, Greg. Hey, get off my lawn.
Yeah. We have a place that's called Wholesale Club, along with Costco. Some of our stuff is reasonable, but not all. Really got to shop around. Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
we used to be able to buy a brisket on special for it'd be like $65. So
Mhm.
now I never see them even on special under 100. Like, and how do you explain a 40% increase in like a year?
Yeah. So me and my wife will go to this one Texas, and I get it. I understand why. And we don't go out all the time, but we go to this one barbecue place, and for the two of us is $80 for barbecue.
Mhm.
Okay. And she'll say, "Well, that's a little steep and a little crazy for the money." Well, you got to understand to buy a brisket and how many briskets they're doing, according to their business. They get a little bit better deal than we do. But in this one Smart and Final I went to last week, it was I think it was $160 for a brisket.
Yeah.
And you can't really tell, but you see the fat cap on it. You see the decal on there, and it's like that. Looking for the meat on it, paying that kind of money. It's ridiculous.
But when you know how much work goes into it as well, like we were out recently and I got a beef short rib on a plate. You just look at that. Sure, you pay the money for it, but you just got served it. You didn't have to do the work to make it. You're probably 12 hours working on that. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind spending the money to enjoy something really good.
Yeah, I totally agree, and that's the nice part about it is, especially when okay, what work goes into it. All right, I used to break everybody's chops because I would say I was watching. Do you know CJ Mom and Papa Joe barbecue?
Yeah, I do watch him. Yeah.
CJ's a great guy. In fact, I'm going to have him up on one of my lives. In fact, I'm going to hit you up also. I don't want you to
Okay.
come up on.
Sure.
What I'm doing is I'm doing it on Sunday dinner chefing. We just food talk. That's it. And
Right.
we just get into that and talk whatever you want to talk about, as long as food related, and we'll go from there with it. But I told him, I said, CJ, if you worked for me in a restaurant, I'd fire your ass in a heartbeat. Well, why is that? It's all that trim you're taking off. That's money. We would go back and forth with that. But yeah, it's there's more and more people into the barbecue because of YouTube.
Yeah.
There's more and more people who are buying grills. I became an affiliate with Monument Grills,
Right.
and they wanted to give me. I did a cook for them out here at the National Hardware Show here at the Convention Center, and they wanted to give me a grill. I had to explain to them. I said, I appreciate that, really do. They paid me and everything. I said, I really appreciate the grill offer and everything, but I can't have it where I live. I just can't have it. It's just too big and this and that. Well, what can we do? I said, well, you got that little G22, that little small job. And that's what and the guy looked at me like I had three heads. You're passing up the Denali 605 for that little one. That's sad. A cookie crumbles
Do
there.
what works for you, and your situation is probably no different than a lot of people.
Yeah,
which is kind of cool because you're sharing cooks on that grill as well.
Yeah. Wednesday, I got one coming up with them. But my whole idea with that, using that grill, is to do unconventional stuff on it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm going to make rice on it and, all that other stuff. And I'm going to do a chicken parm on there. And I'm going to show different ways of doing it. Just to show people that you step out of the circle. Just,
right.
As long as you got heat. As long as you got heat and fire, you can cook.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get ready to wrap this up here. Oh, we got another comment here. We got a beef brisket at Costco for approximately $8 a pound. It was a 7.5 pounds, so it was rare. $65 brisket. But I know it is a small one, and hopefully I won't mess it up.
Take your time with it. That's all.
Yeah. So I guess a small brisket, I'm sure would cook the same method as a larger brisket, only you're just dealing with, probably less time. Or
it depends if you got the flat or not. If it was just a flat,
okay,
because they'll butcher it up, and Costco does that a lot. They'll sell just a flat, not the full
right.
packer.
Yeah, because 7.5 pounds sounds pretty small for a brisket.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, thanks for coming on tonight. And what I'll do, I'll leave your links in the description once I start doing that part, and
Okay.
really appreciate sharing my channel with yours, and seeing you on. Nice chatting.
Yep. I really do appreciate you, Greg, so much. And for people who know Greg, hit that like and subscribe. Come on, it helps the world go
Yeah.
around, right?
There you go. And I look forward to seeing your videos again in the morning. But
Okay.
I'm sure we'll get together again at some point and do something. So
I'll be in touch with you for sure. So, okay, everybody, thank you.
sounds good. All right.
Appreciate
See you
it.
later.
Bye-bye.
Okay.